So I was having this conversation the other day and it came out of my mouth. You can't sell high ticket anymore unless. And then what I said next clearly stuck with the client because came back around later in the conversation and they actually used that as a justification for some of their own points that they wanted to make. And this strategically is probably the number one thing that you need to remember when it comes to closing high ticket sales. And this can be like high ticket coaching and consulting. It could be copywriting services. It could be higher ticket like courses or ongoing training that you're doing. I think of something like the IT training that I used to sell, especially the corporate solutions as opposed to the individual training titles. Like all of that, this absolutely applies, and it applies now more than ever. I'll share that with you in today's episode. Okay, so selling high ticket offers is perceived often as being something that's kind of difficult. But I will say that it's not necessarily harder. It's not necessarily harder to sell high ticket. And in fact, in some ways, I find it's just as easy, if not easier, to sell something that's high ticket because somebody that is going to spend a lot of money, and here I'm going to say maybe like 4 figures plus is high ticket. That's going to be super variable, right? But just for a general category or a general price point to use as a reference here, it's not necessarily harder to sell something that costs $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $25,000, $50,000. It's not necessarily harder, but it is different. It's a different experience talking to a different buyer in many cases, and the type of person who is ready, willing, and able to spend that kind of money. The funny thing is, a lot of times when they're spending that dollar amount, there is, maybe there is an initial buying decision-making process that's a bit rigorous, but you'll find that people who are spending $5 can be just as rigorous or more rigorous on how they're spending that $5 than somebody who spends, $5,000. And so it's different. It's different. But the one thing that I will say that spending $5,000 or, spending more than that requires above everything else, and especially above, picking up something off the shelves at the checkout lane at the grocery store, a super low ticket offer, right? The high ticket offer requires trust. And that's only increased today. That's only increased with the rise of the internet, and we are constantly bombarded with advertisements, and everybody's trying to sell us something, and we have constant DMs and email messages trying to sell us something, and there's people coming at us from all sides. We don't want to be sold, but we do have things that we want to buy, right? We still have things that we want to buy, and so it requires that we trust the person who is selling to us. And that brings us back to the quote, right? You can't sell high ticket anymore unless, well, there's going to be a trust component to this. So if you want to increase trust, so prospects will spend more, it's about a human connection. It is about a human connection, the human to human experience, and actually feeling like there is some kind of connection between you and me. And there is trust built when we are in conversation with each other. And primarily, I would say that is live conversation with each other, as in we're having like a one-on-one communication, right? Having a phone call, Zoom call, video call, meeting in person, whatever. That trust, if we are going to spend a lot of money as a buyer, we want to trust the person that we are giving it to, right? And this is one of those things where, AI is doing all sorts of things right now. But the one thing that it will probably always struggle to actually replace is the human connection. There will always be this gap between knowing that I'm speaking with a computer and knowing that I am speaking with a human being. and a sense that, no matter how intelligent the computer gets and how well it mimics the human being, that we're still going to be looking for that human connection. And it absolutely applies in the context of high ticket selling as well. So like I teach, you want to get prospects on the phone. In my Launch Your Client Business free mini course, I'll include a link in the description. That's one of the major things that I talk about very early on. If you want to launch your client business, you need to figure out how to get clients on the phone, how to get clients in a conversation. And you're going to build trust that way. You're going to build trust in a massive way that you can't do otherwise. Now, there are all sorts of other conversations that we could have about, the trust that you build, how good are you at having those conversations, and so on. But just having a candid conversation between two human beings is going to significantly increase trust. So I said you can't sell high ticket anymore unless you get somebody on the phone. Now, there's probably some objections, or I'm sorry, there are counterexamples. There are rule breakers who are selling high ticket. In fact, I know of a few, actually. They sell high ticket without getting someone one-on-one on a phone call. But for the people who are the counterexamples to that, the people who are breaking that rule, well, they're incredible marketers. And actually, the ones that I'm thinking of right now, they actually get you live on a webinar. So there is a little bit of interactiveness to that. And it just does a really good job of mimicking that one-on-one conversation. So you can't sell high ticket anymore unless you actually get people on the phone. That came out as kind of a throwaway comment, although it was meant to support a few points that I was going to make. And it turned into this important discussion. And as I was talking to the client, we ended up designing their marketing and sales process around it, right? We said, if you want to be really effective at selling high ticket, a major part of what you need to do here is actually try to get more people on the phone, get more phone calls. And if you get more phone calls and it's the right kind of phone calls with the right expectation set, and those phone calls are pre-qualified, pre-motivated, pre-educated prospects, then you're going to be making a lot more sales. Because it's about connecting and building trust, right? It's about connecting and building trust, and you don't have to be some hardcore closer. If you do a good job of connecting and building trust, and you're offering something that the prospect wants, right? You're offering an outcome, a result that they desire. You're offering a solution to a problem that they want to solve. Then closing is pretty easy, right? You have to make sure that they are a good prospect. And that's part of what the whole conversation on the phone is. It's, hey, I only want to sell to people who are a good fit. So one of the things that we're going to do off the bat is we're going to make sure that we're a good fit. And then once we know that we're a good fit, then we will have a conversation about what it would look like to move forward. And all of that is in the connecting and building trust process. And so my call to action for you at the end of this episode is to ask yourself how you can use this, like what kind of action items, what kind of opportunities do you have, especially if you sell something that's higher ticket, to get prospective clients on the phone or in conversation. In person is actually better than on the phone. But for many of us who work online and provide services to clients all over the country or all over the world, being able to get them on the phone and on Zoom is, it is what is most readily available to us today, right? So ask yourself how you can use this. How can you get more people on the phone? Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get more contents like this delivered to you, right? And If you want to check out the Launch Your Client Business free mini course, that link is in the description. Also, there's a link to my Fractional CMO services, where I offer Fractional CMO and Copy Chief services, primarily for direct response marketers doing $5 million or more per year. Really, $5 to $50 million is the sweet spot there. And that's where conversations like this can happen that are customized to your business, including designing your selling and marketing systems to close more sales, high ticket and otherwise. I'm Roy Furr, this is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, and I'll catch you again in the next episode. I'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you once again for tuning in to this daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Remember, check out the links with this episode for even more value. Now make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and engage in every way you can to keep this show going and growing and delivering daily value to you. I'll catch you soon for your next big breakthrough.